TxStampin, Sharon. I have got 3 techniques that I'm going to show you today. And these cards are a little hard to make, but I think you'll understand why when we get more into the video. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I invite you to hit the subscribe button below and then hit that notification bell. You'll be notified every time I upload a video or I do a YouTube premiere. If you currently do not have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I'd be honored to help you with your Stampin' Up! Supply needs. You can contact me in the description box below. Just click that read more button. Let's get started. On today's video, I'm actually using 3 stamp sets, and that is totally against my rules. However, I have a certain need, and I think you will understand why. First, I'm using the stamp set Kindness and Compassion. The stamp set is geared more towards sympathy cards or thank you cards when you need to send thank yous if someone has helped you during a difficult time. This stamp set has some sentiments that can go on the inside of the card, and I love that because we don't have very many of those that serve that purpose. The next stamp set I chose was Dandelion Wishes because Kindness and Compassion do not have any images, and I always like to use images. I needed just 1 stamp out of Beauty Abounds, so I did pull that off my shelf. You would not have to use that if you did not have it. So here is the first card I'm making. Our sincere condolences. This is a very simple card, and I am using Shimmery White cardstock for all of my cards today that measure 3 3/4 by 5 inches. I'm using 3 stamp pads on all of my cards: Smoky Slate, Bermuda Bay, and Tuxedo Black. I'm going to ink up my image using Smoky Slate. I have another one of the images that I'm going to add. Then I'm taking those circles, those bouquet type images, and adding them to my card. Next, I'm using the Tuxedo Black to stamp the sentiment, Our Sincere Condolences. So now my stamping is done. So as you can see, it's a very simple card, but it has a very sincere meaning on it. I'm just gonna layer that on my basic black that measures 4 inches by 5 1/4. And then I'm going to layer it on my Whisper White Thick that's 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, scored and folded at 4 1/4. And then I want to stamp my sentiment on the inside. Sending comforting hugs and healing prayers. So sorry for your loss. No one likes to do sympathy cards. However, now this was the first version I did, and I decided to switch it up and mount it on black. You can still use Bermuda Bay. As I was saying, no one likes to do sympathy cards. However, with the need for sympathy cards, it is much easier to have sympathy cards on hand until you're like, I need a sympathy card and I'm sad and I don't want to make a sympathy card right now. So for this card, I'm going to use a drop of Bermuda Bay and a drop of Coastal Cabana ink refills. Oh, that was a lot. And then I'm going to take my aqua painter and I'm going to squeeze some water in there. Oh, guess I have to go ahead and do that. Mix the water in and then go ahead and mix this. When you purchase the aqua painters, you do get 2 in a package, and I'm just doing a wash on my Shimmery White That's why I chose to just use Shimmery White on today's video, because that way you don't have to remember what paper did she use. So I'm gonna do my first wash with the lighter color. So this is Coastal Cabana. And then I'm going to come in with just a little bit more of the Bermuda Bay. And I've made several of these, so they all look different. But I kind of wanted a light and a dark version. So here's the card that I made. Using the wash technique, you want to make sure that this is completely dry. Again, bringing in my memento. Now, this stamp set, as I mentioned before, has other sentiments. Recently, my friend lost her husband, and a lot of us took food over. We did things for her family, and she wanted some thank you cards. So I ordered this stamp set for her, and I gave her a bunch of thank you cards. I mean, like I said, when things like this happen, if you have some cards around that you could either give to someone or send to someone, if you have them made now, then it just makes it a lot easier for when the time comes. Now, I am using liquid glue because I used water on this paper, and I want to make sure that it doesn't pop up or buckle. I have a great example to share with you in just a moment. When I decided to start using the Whisper White on that first card, it buckled. And I like to just press it like this so that I get it nice and flat and it doesn't buckle. So we're going to add this layer with some snail, or you could use the liquid glue as well. This was an overlooked stamp set, in my opinion. When I was looking to make those thank you cards for my friend, I totally missed this in the catalog. If you would like this stamp set, you can find it in my store, and that link is in the description box below. I found that with her writing so many thank you notes, to have a sentiment in there, "We are sincerely grateful for your kindness and compassion," helped keep her from having to write so much. So there's that version. So you can do it as a sympathy card or as a thank you card. So for this card, I'm actually using one of our Stampin' Up! Blocks. I love these blocks. And I am adding some ink to my block. And then I'm going to take my aqua painter and I'm going to add some water to it. I want this to be more of a watercolor wash like the last card, but contained in a square. And then just like magic, love it. Really pushing it down. Letting as much of that water get into the cardstock that it will allow. With it being shimmery white, it doesn't allow a whole lot. Just gonna kind of go to the edge like that and let it soak in to my paper towel some. Just lightly touching it. And then let it dry. Using my Memento ink again. stamp our sentiment. Bringing in our liquid glue. Notice I'm putting more in the middle, and then I come back and move it to the edges. You do want to make sure that that is dry because you don't want to stamp memento onto the wet cardstock. You don't really want to stamp any ink onto the wet cardstock. I'm going to show you my darker version of this card, and I'm also going to share with you what happened when I used Whisper White instead of Shimmery White. If you don't have Shimmery White, you could use watercolor paper because I did add moisture to our paper. So we're going to stamp our sentiment on the inside. It makes me sad that I need so many of these type of cards right now. And like I said, I needed to make some myself. So I decided to make some and share this information with you. So here's the darker version where I didn't put as much water when I did the color blocking. And then here is the paper. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it on the video, but it is buckled. The Whisper White regular cardstock buckles. I did not try the Whisper White thick, which I don't know why, because I always use it for my card bases. But I just wanted to share that with you, what to do, what not to do, things like that. Again, I hate that I need this many cards. I hope that I have inspired you to make some cards. If you don't need them personally, perhaps you could give them to someone who does. I just feel like right now, with everything that's going on, we all need to have kindness and compassion.